What's going on, YouTube? Saddle Tramp here. It's been a while. Oh, here is Sparks, Nevada. I've been gone for a minute. Smoking a La Gloria Cubana Exclusivo Caribe. It's regional edition Caribbean. Can't get any smoke rings. I got the fan going on here. Yeah, I was sick for a minute, and then this, that, and the other. Man, I just haven't been around in a while, but I'm back, and we got to talk about something. I hate it that I even have to make a video like this, but the handful of people that do actually watch my videos, it would make me feel a lot better if you guys knew these things. Just 'cause. If you have any kind of interest in cigars, I invite you to stick around. If you have no interest in cigars, I invite you to stick around. But especially if you like cigars, because this is going to be a cigar video. It's about Cuban cigars. Draw on this is just a touch open for my preference, but effortless. Just, it's very nice. This is a record breaker for me. This is the most I've ever spent on a cigar, and tax-free, but we'll get to that. Yeah, we're going to talk about Cuban cigars and the embargo and all this. I actually took notes for this. If you like smoking Cuban cigars, the embargo is a very good thing. You want the embargo to stay in place, and I'm going to explain why. Sounds counterintuitive, but actually there's some really, really good reasons and logic behind it. There's a lot of, oh, come on. There's a lot of myths and dumb shit that surrounds Cuban cigars. Like it's rolled on women's thighs, and it's not. The locals down there, if they don't have a tabletop and they want to roll a cigar, yeah, they'll just do it on their leg. But, these are done in professional rolling tables and stuff, man. Come on. And Cuban cigars, they're just like cigars from anywhere else, The soil there is very different. They do have a flavor all their own. But, there's really good Cuban cigars and there's ones that aren't so good, just like anywhere else. I guess we'll start with some of the things people are saying. You hear people talk about, well, I can't wait, because I've been in cigar shops all over the country. Well, I can't wait for the embargo to be over because then I'll be able to get some Cuban cigars and finally try them. Well, you can get them now, and they're very easy to get. I get them all the time. It's just as easy as going on Pipes and Cigars and buying a new pipe or something. I'm telling you, it's that easy. And they come to you almost as quick. One thing about Cuban cigars, very, very smooth, like butter through the nose. This one, it's only got 2 years on it. So, Cuban cigars do better with time. A lot of the ones I've been smoking lately, because I don't really have the space or the means in here to keep them and age them and all that. I get them and I smoke them, as long as they're past the sick period, you're good to go, Better with age, yes, but anyway, we're not talking about aging right now. We're talking about the embargo. One thing to clear up, okay, the copycat brands here in America, you've got La Gloria Cubana, Partagas, Bolivar, Cohiba. I've seen Trinidad. You know, there's all these brands already legally exist here in the States. So, you know, Habanos SA, I mean, they've sued over Cohiba, over them using, because Cohiba, even though it's not their best-selling cigar, it's their highest-grossing cigar. They make the most money off of Cohiba. And they have sued General Cigar for using Cohiba, but they come back in court. You know, it's a Taino word that means tobacco or cigar. You know, it's not really, it's a word that means something. You can't copyright that. And the Cuban government nationalized the cigar industry, and they took these things away from the people, and the government's, you know, our government doesn't recognize that. But what happened was, why are these brands here? Why are they here in America already? You know, did some companies just come out and say, oh, we're going to copy the Cuban brands? No, that's not entirely it. When the revolutionary government went in and nationalized the Cuban cigar industry, they went into all these people that owned all these different rolling factories. And they told them, look, this is ours now. All of your physical and intellectual property belongs to us. You can stick around and have a higher up position in the factory and work for pennies compared to what you used to make, or you can get the fuck out. Well, who's just going to give up like that? So what these people did was they went to Honduras, the DR, Nicaragua, and looked for somewhere else to set up shop. But to them, that was still their brand. You know, why would they use new bands, new names? You know, the blend is different, but it's still the same people. And then once they got reestablished, General Cigar, Altadis, huge companies like that came along and bought them, and they were still using the same bands and the same names. Well, General Cigar and others bought the physical and intellectual property of what these people still felt was theirs. So, which technically it was, you know, the Cuban government basically stole it from them. And they drew up legal contracts and bought it. So that's why these brands are already here. But the problem is, these brands are already here. What are you going to, you know, you're not going to get Cuban cigars in your local shop. What are they going to do? Sell, you know, Honduran punch over here and Cuban punch over there? No, they're not going to do that. Habanos SA, which Cuban cigars, there's one brand. It's Habanos SA. That is the marketing. That is who runs Cuban cigars. Excuse me. They don't want, or I'm sorry, what am I don't want this to tunnel, that's what I was thinking. These brands already legally exist. Now I forget, oh yeah, Habanos SA is one brand. And all of these brands under it are actually lines under Habanos SA. La Gloria Cubana, Punch, San Cristobal, you know, all these are brands under lines of cigars under Habanos SA. And Habanos SA, you know, in these lawsuits over Cohiba, and that's why all of the other brands they bought from the people who fled from Cuba. That's why the bands are exactly the same. You look at La Gloria Cubana, Partagas, they got the same bands except they don't say Habana Cuba on them. And remember that. We're going to come back to that in a little bit, talking about how the government or the companies that bought these names used that to try and trick people, but we'll come back to that. What time we at here? Okay, this is going to be multi-part here, so we got a lot to talk about. Cohiba, they didn't buy. They tried to copy it. Habanos SA took them to court over it. That's why you have Red Dot Cohiba, and the Cohiba that has the checkered band is in Cuba. That's why that's different. Okay, we covered that. Oh no, there's a few points I wanted to make, so I wanted to make sure you just excuse me 1 minute. Now, the other side of that, I was talking about how Habanos SA will never allow, Honduran Punch and Cuban Punch to be sold on the same shelves. So, okay, well, they'll open up La Casa del Habanos here in America. Well, that's not going to fly either. And here's why. General Cigar and Altadis are already losing money from people like me who go online and buy Cuban cigars. What do you think is going to happen if they open up cigar shops with just Cuban cigars in them? Who's going to go buy Honduran Punch when the shop down the street has Cuban Punch? Who's going to do that? Nobody. So they will fight tooth and nail to keep those shops out of America. So that's not going to work either. Okay, so they're not going to be on the same shelves, and they're not going to have their own shops. And this stuff might happen, but I'm telling you, these are things to think about. These are the problems that are going to come into play. It's not just like the embargo is going to end and the next day we're going to be buying Cuban cigars. Because here's another thing. There's already an industry set up for us to get these. I get them tax-free. I don't even pay for shipping. As long as you order the site I go to, over $100, free shipping. How can you beat that? And they're genuine, they're beautiful.